Hey there. I spent 2 months exploring police violence statistics, and I was surprised by the ways routine events can escalate into police brutality. So let's talk about it. I'm Rich with The3Fifths. As a veteran strategy and policy advisor, I've made a career of using insights from data to help make better decisions. I'm now bringing those skills to the fight for equitable and inclusive policy. At The3Fifths, we're passionate about leveling the playing field in all facets of the American experience through education, engagement, and empowerment. A few months ago, we took a deep dive into police violence data to educate ourselves about people killed by the police, the reasons they were killed, and whether their deaths were the random acts of a few bad apples or evidence of something more systemic. This is part 2 in a series of videos where we share insights and surprises from the data. Be sure to check out our police shooting statistics playlist for more takeaways. All right, back in July, we shared a month-long series of social media posts highlighting one death each day from the database of people killed on that date. There are links to those posts in the description. You can learn a lot from the face of the data. That 1,000 people a year, or about 3 a day, are killed by police, and that black men are overrepresented among the slain. But some insights require you to go a little deeper, and that's the case today. So let's dive in and learn about some of the routine events that have triggered the cases of police violence we've highlighted. You drive, right? Have you ever forgotten to turn on your turn signal? Have you ever biked at night without a light? Have you ever been pulled over for having a headlight out? I have. Oops. Thanks for letting me know, officer. I'll be sure to get that fixed right away. Yeah, that's how it's going for me too. I've been privileged to have good interactions with the police on those occasions. But I've also been pulled over for speeding when I wasn't. And I learned that there are precious few ways to refute an officer's version of events. The courts presume the officer is telling the truth and that he was a subject matter expert. Why would he lie, the judge said. I paid my fines and went home. That experience was eye-opening to me. And I was taken back there as I watched the video of George Floyd murdered for $20. I share my personal experience as a gateway to discussing these cases. Even though we may not have experienced anything like what we're about to discuss, I hope that we can all see parallels and gateways from our experiences to a world where traffic violations or other routine infractions and interactions with police can go sideways and end disastrously. So, much has been written and spoken about ticket quotas as revenue tools, traffic violations as fishing trips to find more serious crimes, and traffic stops or stop and frisk tactics as profiling and bullying tactics. So instead of having that debate here, I want to share some cases that have resulted in death and ask whether this is a justice system we're happy with or whether a more perfect one might exist. Warning: this video contains sensitive content that may be harmful or traumatizing to some audiences. We will necessarily engage with adult situations, and some clips may depict graphic violence. This subject matter is emotionally and intellectually challenging to engage with. This is heavy stuff, I get it, so hang with me to the end and we'll lighten it up. Our first post was July 17th when we highlighted 19-year-old Darrius Stewart, who was shot and killed by Memphis police in 2015 in an engagement that began because he was a passenger in a car with a headlight out. On July 19, 2015, 43-year-old Samuel Dubose was shot and killed by a University of Cinncinnati police officer during a traffic stop for a missing front license plate. On July 21, 2019, 28-year-old father Hashim Wilson was shot and killed by Tacoma police during a routine traffic stop for a damaged windshield. 3 traffic stops, 3 additions to the statistics, 3 black men dead. The takeaways from these cases get complicated and extend beyond policing and into the network of systemic racist policies enacted and enforced to disenfranchise Black and brown Americans. So bear with me while I walk through cycle of preying on the urban poor. Police use traffic infractions as an excuse to engage with black and brown people in the hopes of meeting enforcement quotas. This is especially prevalent in high crime areas. 2. Urban high crime areas are exclusively high poverty areas. Strict enforcement of traffic laws and minor infractions has the effect of taxing the poor and powerless to fund the very police that are deployed against them. 3. When these poor and powerless citizens can't afford to hire defense attorneys or pay their fines, they face additional penalty fines and arrest warrants are issued. 4. High crime areas are more heavily patrolled by police. When these folks are inevitably stopped for the next minor infraction, they are now arrested for non-payment of the previous fines. If a person protests, additional charges of resisting arrest add to the area's violent crime statistics. 5. The very definition of high crime areas becomes a chicken and egg problem because more police presence focused on minor infractions, often as a bullying tactic, serves to drive crime rates up. Add to this the number of outstanding citations, warrants issued, arrests made, and suspects resisting arrest, and you can see the need to add more police. That's one perspective on the cycle. Not coincidentally, the urban high poverty areas are largely home to black Americans, but I would argue that to conflate crime with blackness is to confuse correlation for causation. Because two things are related doesn't mean one causes the other. To illustrate this, many people die in hospitals. Therefore, I could conclude that hospitals are killing people. Consider instead whether crime is more an artifact of the poverty and hopelessness that has resulted from an ongoing history of systemic racism that has kept black and brown people disenfranchised. I want to emphasize that while race is a key factor, with 28% of people killed by police this year being black, police brutality isn't exclusively a minority problem. Let's go to the suburbs. Have you ever had an argument with your significant other? 49-year-old father and teacher Donald Babbit did. He was shot and killed by police officers in Shaler, Pennsylvania on August 9, 2019, after his wife had reported a domestic disturbance. On August 10, 2016, 32-year-old Tony Timpa called 911 to request help for a mental health crisis he was experiencing. Dallas police officers pinned him to the ground while joking and mocking him for 13 minutes, even after he'd become unresponsive. None of us is immune to police violence, and no special care or sensitivity is given by police when responding to cases of mental illness. Earlier, I mentioned a bike headlight. No one should die for that, right? Well, on August 13, 2017, 50-year-old Patrick Harmon was shot and killed by Salt Lake City police officers after being pulled over for riding a bicycle without proper lighting. In a scenario reminiscent of the cycle I described above, Harmon was found to have active warrants for his arrest. After being cooperative for 45 minutes, Harmon attempted to flee and was shot in the back. Harmon is alleged to have threatened officers with a knife, shouting, "I'll cut you," a threat which 3 body-worn cameras failed to capture. They did capture the final moments of Harmon's life. In a future video, we'll explore how the stories that justify many of these killings are not consistent with the audio and video evidence in the few cases where body or dash cam footage is available. We'll revisit the events preceding Harmon's death in that video. We'll also dive deeper into this final case in that video. On August 24th, 2019, 23-year-old asthmatic and autistic massage therapist Elijah McClain died after being choked by police and given ketamine by paramedics in Aurora, Colorado. McClain was walking home from the store, listening to music and possibly dancing, when someone called 911 to report his sketchy behavior. We'll dive into how police respond to mental health issues in a future video, so be sure to subscribe to get notified when new videos come out. For now, the takeaway from McClain's death is simply a reminder that black people are seen by many as threatening, even for doing the most innocuous of things like walking home. The larger takeaway is to remember that any interaction with the police can end in violence, no matter how well-intentioned, how compliant, or how benign things seem at the outset. I don't want to tell you to never call 911, but I would encourage you to avoid frivolous calls to emergency services. Remember, even a call to the non-emergency number doesn't change the potential outcome of an interaction with police. The wellness check that ended Atatiana Jefferson's life was initiated by a well-intentioned call to a non-emergency number. Before a crisis, spend some time thinking through alternatives to 911 and how you might respond to situations in your neighborhood. All right, it's important to discuss these tough subjects as part of understanding that the way things isn't the way things have to be. The greatness of America lies in the fact that we the people can keep working to help make this a more perfect union. In closing, we'll look at some ways to help balance the scales. Educate yourself. The more you know about the problem, the more prepared you'll be to fight police brutality and oppose racist and divisive policy. Register and vote. This is important not just for the presidential election, but crucially for the down ballot, state, county, and local posts that more closely affect the policies in your cities and towns. For example, the district attorney decides which cases to prosecute, and the city council provides funding and regulation for your police force. Get involved in your community. Voting isn't enough. You have to engage to ensure your community reflects you and your values. Whether it's planting a tree, participating in city council meetings, running for office yourself, or contacting your representative, your voice and your engagement matters. If you like this video, don't forget to like this video. You might be passionate about helping create a more equitable world too. As I mentioned, this is part of a series of videos exploring police violence. Don't forget to subscribe to get notified when new videos come out. Let me know in the comments what has surprised you about routine events spiraling into police brutality. Okay, I promise to end on a lighter note. This isn't to minimize in any way the seriousness of police brutality, but to recognize the importance of balance and mental health as we tackle some tough issues. We're in a marathon, not a sprint. To help you keep perspective, I'll leave you with this. Until next time, be safe out there. It's a beautiful and dangerous world.